All right. It's about time we talked a little bit about silver on the channel. Let's talk about silver. So I actually happen to think that the bottom is in, and I've seen some kind of key indicators that I want to go over in this video. So apart from the clickbaity thumbnail, which getting pretty good at this YouTuber clickbaity thumbnail thing. If you fell for that, sorry, but hopefully this information is actually worthwhile here. One of the biggest things I've seen recently is that we're starting to see the dollar index go up, but the assets are going up in unison with the dollar index going up. I haven't seen that. When the dollar index goes up, that means that you're going to be able to get more of an asset with those dollars, right? Because it's more valuable. But those assets are going up in unison with the dollar going up. Usually, though, they don't move parallel like that. Usually, one time you'll see the dollar index skyrocket $1, and then you'll see silver go down, right? Because the dollar is getting more buying power. However, recently, we're seeing this false jump in the dollar index, and I'm going to go over that in these charts over here on the right and actually go through some main points on this. But it's very shocking to see the dollar index going up like this, especially when way higher CPI data came out on the consumer price index for inflation. As usual, it's so funny. I have a hilarious chart over here on the right where it goes over in 2021. It literally doesn't show that they've changed it like 5 separate times, or three to 5 separate times or whatever. It just shows that now it's 6.19%, right? But they say that this is an annual report, and that's why the chart shows it on an annual basis on the macro trends chart over here. But the thing is, they change it over and over and over again, and it just keeps getting higher and higher and higher, and they keep saying, oh, it's just transitory. Well, I got news. Doesn't look transitory. Doesn't look transitory. Again, just my opinion. All of my videos are just my opinion. So disclaimer, I am not a Series 7. This is not to be taken as financial advice. Just my opinion. But let's get over to the charts over here on the right. Let me put these over. So I had posted something on inflation on the Instagram if you want to check that out. But I wanted to go to First, I wanted to go over the silver-gold ratio. So the silver-gold ratio right now is sitting at just about 73 to 75 range. That means it takes 73 to 75 ounces of silver per ounce of gold, which it's just way out of proportion, especially because we're seeing gold going up right now. Silver should be getting back towards all-time highs like gold is getting to all-time highs. Silver is actually being eaten up by industry, whereas gold is just sitting in vaults right now. So it's kind of surprising to see the industrial precious metals that's widely getting eaten up by industry. Suddenly it's not at its all-time high, but for some reason gold is getting closer and closer and has hit an all-time high. It doesn't make very much sense, or has hit an all-time high in the last about year here. It went to a little bit over 2,000 an ounce, but we never saw silver get back up to 50 an ounce, which is very surprising. First wanted to go over this is way out of proportion. I would argue that it should be closer to this range, but that's also being conservative. The historical ratio is 15 to 1. So this is the historical price down here is what the historical ratio was for silver to gold. If you go down to these levels, you're talking when it was 16, 15 to 1. And you could imagine how much higher silver's price would be if it was a 15 to 1 ratio, not a 73 to 75 ratio. So that's the first thing I wanted to go over. The next thing I wanted to go over here on silver's chart. So we saw a spike recently in silver where on the 10th of November, it jumped quite a bit here. And then it started jumping and went from 24 up to 25.30 in just a couple days. And at the same time, we saw the dollar index skyrocket as well. So we saw the dollar index go up a quick $1.10, $1.20 from November 9th, 10th, went up at the same time. Now, that doesn't usually happen. You don't see the dollar index jump like that, and you don't see silver jumping at the same time. This is silver's chart. This is the dollar index chart here. You don't see that. That, to me, was a technical indicator. I know a lot of people will talk about the 200-day moving average and how silver's getting to a golden cross chart and all these different things. I like to look at more of the real information. And to me, this is some real information here. The dollar is not getting stronger. This is some trader speculation going on right now. No, it's getting stronger. People's worry, because the inflation number is so high, people are getting more worried right now. And because of that, they want to sit on their hot potato money, which is dollars. I have forever considered dollars hot potatoes. Their hot potatoes can be very valuable if you hold them at the right time before they burn you. You know, so the dollar right now is a lot. That to me, with the dollar index jumping up, tells me traders are worried. They want to be sitting with hot potato money ready to buy safe haven assets. That's what I think is happening here. And when that does happen, when the hot potato gets too hot, they're going to throw those hot potatoes at safe haven assets. I think silver is the best safe haven asset in the physical realm. I don't see anything else that I would rather own in the physical realm than silver, because it's eaten up way too much by industry. I want to be in a precious metal that is actually being used, and silver is being used a ton right now, which is, it's just crazy. And I have actually some more points I want to bring up based on that as well. But here's this historical inflation chart. How crazy is this? So what's funny is in this year, in 2021, it has changed multiple times, but it only shows this one at 6.19%, which is the recent data that they came out with. It was transitory here. It was transitory here. It was transitory there. And then it was transitory there too, all in the same year. Can you believe that? How transitory of a year that is? Wow, it's a ton of sense, Powell. Ton of sense, Yellen. Did a great job. Fantastic job over there. Bravo to them. But this is getting people worried. That's what's happening right now. And so when they get worried, they sell their bonds, they sell their equities, and they go into the dollar because the dollar is hot potato money. That's why we're seeing this spike here. And actually, the dollar has been going up quite a bit, which is extremely surprising. It just doesn't make any sense. If we scroll this chart out, this entire time, so it just keeps going up and up and up. I was down here when I was at 89, it was looking like it was finally going to show the truth. But we saw more and more money getting inflated, and more people are sitting on hot potato money, getting worried on what they're going to do next. And as soon as something starts moving here, I think they're going to dump their dollars. This is going to crash back down, and it has a lot of room to go. You see, here's the thing. Let me go back to this screen. The thing is, like, if the dollar was weak right now, I would still be bullish on assets. I would still be bullish on silver. I'd still be bullish on Bitcoin because I think that they're way undervalued at these prices. But the fact is the dollar index is way too high right now, which means it's a double whammy. It's a win-win for silver and for Bitcoin and all these safe haven assets, because there's a ton of dollars out there that is all hot potato money that is waiting to get thrown into safe haven assets. So that's what I see. It's so hard to take apart what's actually happening on the dollar index, but I think it's pure speculation. And I think really the best way to phrase it is this is hot potato money. And a lot of people, the hot potatoes are very valuable if you know where to place them and when to place them. So there is something to be said right now about sitting on, a 20%, 10 to 20% cash position. So it doesn't mean, have no dollars. I think that the thing is you want to have some powder dry, which is dollars, and that's what we're seeing, and that's why fear is also leading to the dollar looking like it's stronger, but it's not actually stronger. It's just people wanting to sit on dollars. But here's a guarantee. Silver, not a guarantee. In my mind, I think it's ridiculously low here, and I have a lot of conviction on silver going up in value, and I think that it could easily double, and much more than that. But when it comes to the dollar, so what I was trying to say is silver is not a guarantee, right? Even though I think it is, that's just my opinion. Bitcoin isn't a guarantee. Gold isn't a guarantee. None of these things are guarantees. But here is a guarantee. The dollar will lose its buying power year over year over year over year. That is the one guarantee that we know. And why would you want to sit on something that is losing buying power year over year over year over year when your stock market has price to earnings ratios that are pretty much non-existent? They just none of these stocks can catch up to their price to earnings ratios at all right now because they've dumped so much money into this system. Bonds are making you lose money. Anybody who's in bonds is I think it's just laughable Like, what are you just got told your CPI data is over 6%. Is there a bond out there that's going to keep up with this? Is there any interest rate at any bank that is going to keep up with this interest rate that they said? The real interest rate, I believe, is a lot higher because that CPI data is skewed. Doesn't make very much sense because they leave out some very important categories there in regards to energy. They leave out extremely important categories of energy and food, which is where we see stuff. We go to the gas pump and we see the price on the gas is much higher. We go to the grocery store, we see the price of our meats and all these different things is much, much higher. But their data only tells us 6%, which is still a very high number. I think the real number is a lot higher than that, but our bank is not keeping our ice cube money frozen. It's melting away, and we're losing our buying power year over year over year. The only reason people are in dollars right now is because they're scared and they're waiting for an opportunity to place that money. If you had a lot of powder dry in, say, 2007 and 8, you had a very good opportunity to buy things very cheap. Everything crashed, and if you had dollars in that temporary period of time, it was a really good move. So right now, it might be the move to have some powder dry on the side. It's hard for me to do because I look at silver's price and I look at Bitcoin's price, and people will laugh at me. People will go, Bitcoin's almost at all-time highs again. It's at 64,000. I think that the reason why I'm so bullish on Bitcoin and silver is because their market cap is just barely over $1 trillion each. So gold's market cap is roughly 11, 12 trillion. But silver and Bitcoin have this low market cap of just over $1 trillion, where they both could easily move up trillions of dollars. And I see them doubling, tripling, quadrupling because of that low threshold to actually move it. How easy is it to move $1 trillion around? Well, look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin went from like 1 point something trillion down to half of that because it fell from all-time highs down to 30,000. So that shows you how fast a market can liquidate $500 billion. It can go real quick. So if more and more silver gets eaten out of the comex and gets eaten out of the supply, it's a very interesting scenario there. With all the manipulation going on in silver, if we finally see people starting to get out of dollars and flooding into silver, I see it really being an interesting opportunity here. And I think a lot of this money, here's the other thing. You have over $900 trillion in financial assets worldwide that are looking for a safe haven. You have companies out there that are looking for a safe haven to put their balance sheet. This is why MicroStrategy went all in on Bitcoin on the balance sheet. It's why Tesla has some Bitcoin on the balance sheet, is because they're scared right now. These companies don't want to hold dollars. What companies are going to survive a stock market crash or a currency crash is if they diversified themselves in real estate and other assets in, Bitcoin. But here's something that a lot of people are overlooking. I think that companies that need silver, companies that are producing solar panels, companies that are in electronics, they're going to buy up hordes of silver because they don't want to have to deal with price fluctuations. They need it for what they build. So if you have a lot of cash, if you have a lot of hot potato dollars on your balance sheet and you're in the business that eats away at silver, say the auto industry needs tens of millions of ounces of silver every single year. If you're in that industry right now, especially if you're like Tesla, why would you not put a large position of your balance sheet in silver? Because you're going to eat it up. And that includes lithium, cobalt, all these different things that they need. Why would they not accumulate it and store it themselves so they don't have to deal with price fluctuations? That would make a ton of sense. So I see not only the retail public gobbling up silver, but also I see the industrial corporations, companies out there gobbling up silver, and there's just not enough out there. So we're going to get into a situation where it just doesn't make sense for silver to be so cheap right now. And it gets me excited that the dollar index is showing that it's 95. That actually gets me hyped up, because when I see a dollar index at 95, I go, wow, it has a lot of room to drop. What happens when the dollar index goes down? Silver skyrockets, Bitcoin skyrockets. Everything will skyrocket when the dollar index goes down because it will take more dollars to buy these limited goods. That's what's going to happen. Right now, we're seeing this very weird indication, and that's my technical indication. When I see a dollar index going up and also silver going up at the same time, that's my technical indication that the bottom is in. Because if it was if we've all been there where we've watched the dollar index go up and have a spike and then silver plummets. So what tells me the bottom is in is when I see the dollar index go up and then silver go up quite a bit at the same time. Again, let's take a look at this. So we'll zoom it into this time period here. So November we'll say just at the end of October, beginning of November, right here, about 93 something on the dollar index. And then let's go to the same period of time on silver. We see same period of time right around here starts going up at the same time. Now, normally, if you see a dollar index doing this in this time period, you would see silver going down to here and going down to the low 20s. That's what we normally would see if the dollar was actually getting stronger like that. But for some reason, we're seeing silver continue to go up while the dollar index is going up. That doesn't make any sense at all. That to me is a technical indicator. That's what I'm looking at. So when I look at, I'm not a big fan of technical analysis when it's like a day-to-day thing, but this specifically is very bullish to me because they just came out with data saying that the CPI is up. Like they just came out that inflation is getting higher and higher and higher. Is at 6.19%. That's their kind of bogus number, in my opinion. But right when that information comes out, the dollar gets stronger. The dollar's getting more buying power when inflation is getting towards higher and higher figures like this. Going to be at all-time high inflation, and we have a stronger dollar. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. That's really very logical. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you. So I don't know if I don't think I can play it, but on the Instagram I posted this inflation chart. Highly recommend to look at this video here. It just blows my mind how fast it just jumped in 2021. It goes over, it slowly goes through the years, and then in 2021 it just shows this crazy spike. I posted that on the Instagram if you want to check that out. But it just doesn't make any sense at all to see the dollar index going up like this. Well, to make sense of it, and let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going to go through the comments here in a second here. What do you think of this? How the only logical thing I can come up with is going, okay, well, people are nervous right now and they want hot potato money. That's the only thing that I can think of. And in that temporary period of time when people want to kind of protect themselves, they're holding dollars and they sell their equities, they sell their bonds, they sell other things that are in those overvalued arenas. And then they go and they put it into dollars and they sit on it in the bank. The problem is the bank isn't paying a fair interest rate. So all of this hot potato money will only sit there for so long. The dollar index only stays high for so long until they realize, wait a minute, I should go into Bitcoin. I should go into silver. I should go into real estate. I should build my own business. They're going to do all these different things with this money that they have on hand because at the end of the day, the banks are taking advantage of us. All the banks are taking advantage of us and not paying us interest to compensate for the inflation that the central bank created themselves. The only people that get a fair shake from the central bank is the commercial banks that get free money from them at 0%. That's what's really going on. And so they talk about this tapering thing. To me, I think we're in stagflation right now. I think that people talk about stagflation. I think we're in it right now. And what I think happens next is we go through a situation where the money just continues to get printed, continues to get printed, continues to get printed. We see stagflation, and then eventually we see a market correction. And when the market correction comes, we might see a big cushion develop before then. So maybe silver goes up to 75 an ounce and then pulls back down to 40 an ounce with a market correction, something along those lines. But I just don't think that the dollar can stay doing this. And I don't think the market can continue doing this. There's going to be something that some bubble has to burst here. It just doesn't make sense at all. And I think there's going to be a flood of people wanting to get out of the dollar when the real inflation numbers come out. And people think that the real inflation numbers came out, and that's scary enough. But the truth is, it's much scarier than that. And I hate to laugh, but it's laughable that we take investment or not. We get our financial advice from this lady here. That's who we get our financial advice from. I wonder what George Washington would have thought of the U.S. leadership in the financial department. So I see this silver to gold ratio way too high, and I also see gold going up quite a bit. The next thing I wanted to talk about as well is, given the opportunity to invest in a precious metal, do you want one that's sitting in vaults, or do you want one that's actually getting eaten up by industry? And if you're a company, do you want to buy the one that's sitting in the vaults, or do you want to buy the one that you actually need for the items that you're building? That goes, palladium has been in like a 6-year deficit. There isn't enough palladium out there to meet the demand. Silver, there's not going to be enough silver to meet the demand of silver in the very near future. And so if you're one of these companies that is looking for a safe haven asset, which one are you going to get? Probably the one that you're using. If you're in solar panels, if you're in batteries, if you're in anything electric, any consumer electric product is going to be using silver. And so if you are in that arena, why would you want to accumulate anything but silver? It's like it just doesn't make sense to go buy gold. So I think that on top of the fact that it's way out of proportion on the silver to gold ratio, I find silver to be the better choice between silver and gold. So that's what's so wild to me. We should see a 15-to-1 ratio just based on the fact that it's more useful right now at the price point. But for some reason, we see this very, very far out of proportion false. I think it's a false suppression price, really. All in all, I think silver is a great play here. And based on the fact that we see silver going up with a strengthening dollar index, I think it's an artificial price that we're seeing with the dollar index of people just getting nervous and selling off their bonds and equities. But it's very interesting to see silver's price go up at the same time as the dollar index. That to me is a big deal. And it's just a matter of time before this plays out. And I think we could start seeing days where silver starts jumping $1, $2 in a day. And same thing with Bitcoin. We could start seeing 5,000 candles going into this. That's why I've always said that silver and Bitcoin are my top two plays. And how have they done? You can go back in the channel. The first time I was talking about Bitcoin, it was 15,000, I believe, was my first videos. And I was in it much before I started making videos on it. Silver, I was in it in the mid-teens. Now you could go back and check out the videos on that. I'm still big on both places. Bitcoin and silver, I think, are the top two assets, the top two safe haven assets to be in this specific market. So 10, 20% powder dry, something along those lines. It's very hard for me to keep powder dry, which means have hot potato dollars. And then silver and Bitcoin, I think, are the best holdings to have. I couldn't imagine being anywhere else right now than those two places. And so I plan to make a lot more videos on why I got so bullish on both, and I think I have over the time period. But I wanted to go over specifically in this video, I wanted to go over that the dollar index is falsely, it's almost like you can take advantage of this arbitrage play right now. Again, everything I talk about in my videos is not financial advice, just my opinion. So disclaimer, I have to say that. But what a great arbitrage scenario here. We're being told the dollar is getting stronger while we just got told at the same time that inflation is getting higher and higher and higher, and it's not actually transitory. That's a very good arbitrage situation there if you know what you're doing. So if you see that and you go, okay, well, silver's still too low. Bitcoin, I think, is still too low. I know people will think I'm crazy for saying that. But the dollar is being inflated and inflated and inflated away. They say they're going to taper. And now here's what I think is going to happen. I think they do taper, or they say they're going to taper, probably going to say it and not actually do it. Powell probably leaves office anyway next year, and he's just like, oh, on to the next one. I made a bunch of money by buying, bonds with buying bonds that I then used the people's money to go buy the same bonds and made a fortune off of that, right? So he's doing fine. Powell's, a millionaire. He'll be all right. There's no problem over there for Powell. He'll probably walk away in 2022, and then they'll say they're going to taper. And when they say that, or even if they do that, like they say they're going to do, that's when we see this correction happen. We see a market correction. We see the dollar plummet. We see that when they say they're going to taper. That's what I personally think happens. The equities sell off and everything happens when they do that. Now, after they see that dramatic thing happen, they're going to use that, because they always say this. They always say if things get really bad, we'll obviously print more money. If things get bad, we'll use the tools at our disposal to print more money or lower interest rates or whatever we can do. We'll use our tool chest here if things get really bad. Well, if they say they're going to taper, and worse, if they actually do taper and they do the right thing, that's when we see the market correct. And then they'll use that correction to leverage themselves to be able to go, okay, now we can start the money printer again. Now we can lower interest rates to negative interest rates because we're in real turmoil now because the market is correcting due to our own incompetence. And we said that we're going to taper. So they say they're going to taper, market corrects. Then they go use that correction that they caused themselves to then go and print more money and lower the interest rates and all of that. And that's why I think eventually we see negative interest rates where they're begging people to take their money because banks won't even want it. And it's going to get very interesting when we see negative interest rates going on from the Fed. That's my personal take on it. I don't think they really taper. I think it's past the point of return. There's no way out for them except for them to do negative rates. So it makes me laugh when they say the tapering thing and stuff. It just, none of it makes any sense to me. That's my ultimate take on all of this, and I hope there's some valuable information. I use these clickbaity thumbnails, where I'm, but at the end of the day, I hope that I drop some useful information after the clickbaity thumbnail. But if you got some good information, please do hit the like button. Really does help my videos get out there. I even got I'll bust out the fancy like button pillow. If you could hit that like button, if you take that split second to turn that like button from gray to blue, really, really helps this information get out there. And I think it could really help people. But yeah, to summarize it, I think that the dollar is artificially propped up due to people selling their bonds and their equities to sit in the dollar, and they're going to move it into safe haven assets, silver being one of the best safe haven assets. What's crazy is when the dollar index is showing that it's strengthening, silver is going up at the same time, something that we've never seen before. As in the precious metals industry, I love to use the dollar index because when the dollar index is up, I know the next day silver is going to be at a discount. That's what I always know in the back of my mind. I've done it like clockwork for years and years and years. Where, the dollar index is up, silver's going to be plummeting. Tomorrow it's going to be a great buy. Let's load up a few thousand ounces of silver. That's always been the move. But for some reason, we're seeing it move in a parallel. At the same time, the CPI data came out much higher than expected. That's an opportunity, in my opinion. That is major, major opportunity to be in a safe haven asset like silver. That's how I feel about this. It's very interesting, and I hope that you got some value out of it too. If you did, please post some comments over there. Let's see. Let's go to some comments. I'm looking at the comments, so I apologize. I was on a little bit of a rant there for a second. Timer ran out though, so it must have been about a 20-minute rant there. Zane, I appreciate that, brother. I got a super chat from Zane. He says, "What do you think about real estate investments nowadays?" That's a great question, Zane. Something that interests me a lot. I would love to be in real estate. I'm not in real estate right now, but I've seen a lot of houses that were selling before. Now all of a sudden they're not selling. People are getting nervous. So in the very beginning, people were dumping into real estate, and now it's getting hard to actually sell a high-priced house. So I think that there's going to be more and more renters that are preserving their capital and not getting into a house, and putting the down payment on the house. Now, it's funny because it's actually, we have a bigger wealth divide than ever before, which is, it's because it's harder to get a loan, but it's easy to get a loan, and a cheap loan at that, if you have the capital and if you're already wealthy. If you're already wealthy, you're already ahead, you can get a really easy, cheap loan, and you can get very, very wealthy in real estate and all these different things. But if you're just starting out, if you're kind of lower on the totem pole, it's hard to get a loan like that. And you might not qualify, most likely won't if you're trying to get multiple loans, but it increases the wealth divide. But all in all, real estate is just tough. It's tough. I think it's better than sitting on dollars, but at the end of the day, if you could put your dollars in a better place than real estate, and then if the market corrects and you're sitting there with you basically got either the hot potato money and you had it at the right time, but say you got Bitcoin. If you put your money in Bitcoin and silver at the beginning of everything here, and you put 50-50, you got a much better performance off of Bitcoin, and we can't deny that. Everybody in silver that tries to deny the going from 15,000 to 64,000. I mean, it made sense to have it as an insurance play. I wonder who would say Peter Schiff was wrong and Bitcoin's a great insurance play. I wonder what guy on YouTube would do that, especially from the precious metal space. No guy on YouTube would ever do something like that. There's not videos of a person talking about that back when Bitcoin was like 15,000. There's nobody out there. But it's like, if you're in a place like that and you're getting those kind of multiple returns, and then you see a situation where the market corrects, and this, I really think that an opportunity is going to come from them saying we're going to taper. So they're saying they're going to taper, and even when they say they're going to taper, the market gets corrected. The stock market doesn't like that. So what happens when they actually do taper? When they actually do taper, that's when we see the market really start plummeting, I think. And when the stock market plummets, I think real estate goes down with it because real estate's pretty overvalued, especially in nice areas. That might be the opportunity zone. Like I said, like having the asset ready and having a hot potato money at the right time, that's key. So timing it is it's really hard to do, but I really think that it's inevitable that they're going to have to drop to negative rates. I don't think they're going to be able to taper, and I think that it's inevitable that they're just going to have to find more ways to print. Yellen might throw her $1 trillion coin over in the Fed, and it might be multiple $1 trillion coins, and she can do that at will, by the way. I did a whole video on the $1 trillion coin, and it's actually in the law that she can do that. She can take a $5 trillion coin and just drop it into the Fed. And what do? They issue more bonds. But here's the problem. Who's going to buy their bonds? Is anybody buying junk bonds? Is anybody buying treasury bonds? Like, what are they? Who's going to buy these bonds? Makes no sense. If your CPI data just came out at 6 point something %, who's going to buy a bond that's paying less than that? Like, it's foolish to think people are. Whoever's sitting in bonds is like, it's like the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard to be sitting in bonds right now. So, and that's a ton of money in bonds, by the way. So what happens, and this also goes into this conversation with silver, is what happens when we have $900 trillion, and this includes real estate, by the way. So to Zane, who asked about the real estate question, if $900 trillion of financial assets worldwide is looking for a safe haven asset, and silver's only 1.4 trillion, Bitcoin's only 1.2, 1.3 trillion, what do you think is going to happen to those assets when that money starts flooding out of that huge hundreds and hundreds of trillions of dollars out there, not including derivatives? And this includes bonds and all of the overpriced equities and everything. It's going to flood into safe haven assets like silver and Bitcoin. So it would be foolish to not be in these assets, in my opinion. I mean, that's my take on it. I think we're also in like a stagflation environment right now, where if the market corrects, I think it'll probably pull down metals with it, and it'll also pull down Bitcoin with it if we see a huge, stock market correction like we saw in 2007-8. But here's the kicker, though, because we're getting this divide, and this is actually what we're seeing right now. When we see this happen, where the inflation data just came out, the dollar index is up, the metals go up. In that situation there, we're seeing stagflation right in front of us. That's really what it is. And we might see a huge cushion develop where Bitcoin might go to say Bitcoin goes to 250,000 or 500,000 by the time that we see the market correction, and they say they're going to taper in a year or whatever in 2022. If they even do that, I doubt they even do that. But say they do it. That's when we see the market correction happen, but we might see Bitcoin go to this really high price, and we might see silver go up to 75, 100 an ounce, and then when the correction happens, it brings it down to like 75, 50 an ounce. So did it make sense to buy it now, or did it make sense to try to time it out perfectly? I think it made sense to buy Bitcoin, to buy silver right now, sit on it, and wait for the opportunity to happen, and then just have some powder dry as well. I think we're going to get some detachment, and a cushion is going to develop. Long story short, I guess. That's how I think this plays out, and we're starting to see it play out like that. If the dollar index is up and silver's up with it, we're seeing that cushion developing in real time. So it's going to be very interesting when the dollar plummets, because we might not see... I don't know. There's part of me that wonders, and maybe in the comments down below, you guys can put this and I can get your input on it, because I'm learning new stuff every single day. I'm just trying to give as much information as I have, and I'm missing a lot of it. So hopefully you can help me with this, but we might see a detachment like we should see. When the stock market corrects and all of the money goes out of equities, maybe it doesn't want to be in dollars. Maybe it gets out of equity, goes into dollars, and then the dollar plummets at the same time, and it's trying to find a safe haven in that crash. What we're supposed to see, like in 2007, when the stock market corrected and crashed, we're supposed to see precious metals and safe haven assets go up, but it went down. Maybe, just maybe, the 2022 crash or 2023 crash, whenever it does inevitably happen, in my opinion, not financial advice, whenever it does happen, maybe we do see a detachment. Maybe we do see silver skyrocket on that, and gold, even gold go up, and then Bitcoin skyrocket as well. Maybe we see that detachment happen. I'm not sure. But I do know that if I didn't have silver and Bitcoin and platinum and palladium and all of these things right now, I'd have anxiety sitting on the dollar, because I think it's just a bubble ready to pop. It's very, very hard to time markets. So I just want to be where the safe haven asset is and sit on those for the next 5-10 years and keep building my business and build out my operations and all of that. And then in that time period, once it all happens, I'll be ready to go. That's my take on it, at least. Some people think I'm crazy, but that's where I'm at. Let me get to some more comments. I think Zane, that rant was from Zane's comment there, so I appreciate the super chat, Zane. Thank you, man. Let me see some more. I'm gonna go through some more comments here. We're at 95 likes up in here. I appreciate that, guys. 95 likes. Tell you what, we get to 150 likes. Here's my my cheesy live streamer proposal for you. If we get to 150 likes, I'll keep going and I'll flip the timer over. We'll go for another 30 minutes. But that's only if I get to 150 likes. So there's my cheesy proposal for you all. Just tells me you want me to keep going. So if you want me to keep going, I'll keep going. But I pretty much went over all of the reasons why I think the bottom is in on silver. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? If you think I'm wrong, throw a dislike. If you think I'm right, I'd appreciate a like. Let me know. But let's go through some more comments. Everyone's Social Security and retirement funds are in dollars. If that happens, we need to. you gotta make comments that I can actually read, guys. I mean, I respect you, man, but be careful out there. Dollar is a bubble and ready to pop. Let's hope that all of our savings and retirement are in the dollar sun. Yep. Unfortunately, I appear to only have one thumb available. Yeah, some people are clicking the like and then they click the like again and they unclick their like. So got to be careful with that. Do you think palladium will still be in demand with electric cars and the end of catalytic converters? I do. The recent thing with palladium that I've been looking into is fuel cells. And there's also new battery tech that's coming out that uses palladium and platinum. So that's actually like on the forefront right now, is something very interesting that's happening in palladium and platinum. The other thing about palladium and platinum is you're talking about something in the hundreds of billions, right? So it's like, what makes me laugh is like if I was debating Peter Schiff, right? Because I'm not very much a gold bug. People think I'm a gold bug. I'm an industrial precious metals bug. That's where I stand. I'm a Bitcoin fan, and I'm also an industrial precious metals bug. I'm not a gold bug, actually, which is, a lot of people don't like to hear that. I like collectibles. I like my collectible gold. But when it comes to gold, I think to myself, why would I want to be in the one that's 12 trillion sitting in the central bank's vaults? I'm not really a fan of the central banks. They have a lot of gold at the central banks, and it's mainly used as money. So it doesn't have it has industrial use, but the problem is it's only used for like 5-10% of it is used for industrial cases, the majority of that being for jewelry. Whereas silver has like well over 70% being used in industry. Platinum and palladium more than 90%. Palladium itself is actually in a deficit for like 6 years straight. But I think it's going to, these industries like new battery cells, fuel cell technology, and then like anything that needs a catalyst is going to need palladium and platinum. So those two metals are extremely undervalued, and only a couple $100 billion. I think above ground palladium and platinum, it's hard to actually know the exact number of bullion available, but it's in the hundreds of billions because it's constantly being eaten up. So you can't just say like, 12 trillion like gold. We really don't know exactly, but it's in the hundreds of billions. Like less than 500 billion is all of palladium and all of platinum combined. You could even throw rhodium in that basket. Why did rhodium skyrocket? Because there wasn't enough of it. So I think palladium and platinum is really next. And the reason I bring up gold is because if I was going to hold a precious metal that was a higher value precious metal, I'm going to choose platinum and palladium 10 times out of 10 over gold. It's being eaten up by demand, and it's a rare precious metal. Like I would much rather be in platinum than gold. And so you bring up a very good point bringing up palladium. I think palladium, platinum, and silver are the precious metals to be in. I don't really think gold is the best buy, and we might actually see a lot of money flood out of gold into industrial precious metals, because if say Tesla, for example, they're not really using gold, they're using silver though. And if they need platinum and palladium for new battery cells, they're going to get platinum and palladium on their balance sheet as well. They're going to be buying up and eating up that. But then are they going to be buying gold? Like, I don't know. I don't think so. I think they'd rather have Bitcoin. And they've proven that because they own Bitcoin and not gold right now. So companies like that have the billions and billions of dollars, I think they're going to be going into industrial precious metals. And I don't buy the whole idea of them going into gold. We might see them selling their gold and going into industrial precious metals and Bitcoin. That might actually happen. And I think maybe it steadily continues to go up, but industrial precious metals will way outperform gold, and Bitcoin will way outperform gold. And I think it probably steadily goes up because it's still gold, but I just don't think it's the fastest horse in the race. I think Bitcoin's the fastest horse. I think silver is going to be next up. I think platinum and palladium are going to be next up after that. So those are the 4 horses I like. Bitcoin, silver, platinum, palladium. Those are my horses. That's where I want to be. And then a little bit of cash ready to go as hot potato money just to throw when the time comes. That's my best way to answer that. John, really appreciate that, man. Thank you. He says, well said. Thank you. Appreciate the super chat, bro. Means a lot to me. Those add up. Let me go through some more comments here. Can you talk about Shiba Inu? All the Bitcoin maximalists following me on here. All right, let's talk about Shiba Inu. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. It's the reason why I'm in Bitcoin. I'm going to make this video actually. So after this video is posted, I'm going to drop some like shorter videos because I'm going to be in the warehouse making videos for the weekend. But to summarize for everybody that's in my live stream, because I appreciate you being here, I only believe in Bitcoin. A lot of people think I'm in crypto. There's only one crypto asset, and it's Bitcoin. And everything else is a wannabe. And what they do is they keep the price very low. Like I could quickly show you the market caps here, but the price looks low on Shiba, but it's the market cap is extremely high. So they made it so that there's a ton of tokens there. The reason why Bitcoin's price is so high is because there's only 21 million that can be mined. Like Shiba Inu, there's just hundreds of billions of tokens out there, and because of that they keep the price very low, which makes it look like it's a good investment. But here's the other thing: the protocol, the reason why Bitcoin can exist and the reason why Bitcoin can hold value is because the network is so valuable. You don't have a network. You're believing anything other than Bitcoin is centralized. Bitcoin is decentralized because there are so many people running nodes and miners around the world that secures that protocol to the tune of hundreds of millions of users out there because of this protocol being secured and more secured. I run my own node, for example. And if you run your own node, you have downloaded the entire blockchain and you have secured the entire 700,000 plus blocks on the blockchain. And now you have secured that protocol. Bitcoin is very decentralized because it's almost like this. For people that are precious metals, in precious metals only, right? Imagine everybody held silver. Imagine everyone around the world had silver dispersed in their pockets all around the world. That would decentralize silver because a lot of individual citizens held silver. In that same way, Bitcoin is decentralized because there are so many miners around the world securing the protocol and securing the network. There's so many Bitcoin held outside of the system, which means it's not in Robinhood. If you bought your Shiba Inu in Robinhood, it is the most ridiculous thing ever to think that that is a decentralized cryptocurrency. You're trusting that Robinhood their app is going to work. You're trusting that the dollar will stay solvent. You're trusting that they can move that dollar from Robinhood into your bank, and that bank is solvent. You're trusting that the dollar itself is solvent. There's a crazy amount of trust in this Doge, Shiba, all these things. You don't actually have the people's money because the people don't have control of it. The exchanges do. That's the problem. You don't have a network of miners securing the protocol so that it can't be altered or tampered with. You don't have huge whales out there with half of the Shiba Inu or half of the Doge ready to sell and make the price crumble in half. The reason why Bitcoin is holding this kind of a value is because it actually is valuable from a network basis. That's what a lot of people overlook, is that there's a network of over 100 million users out there. There's miners and nodes all over the place. And I could show the map. In the next video I end up doing, talking about why I'm only in Bitcoin, I'm going to show a map of how many nodes and miners are around the world securing the protocol. That's what a decentralized system does. Powers that are not a central bank, that are not involved in any government or anything, are running and upkeeping this and keeping it moving. You don't see that from any other coin. So Ethereum, all these things, they're not a secure coin. They are centralized tokens. And the only reason the price is low, and I can actually quickly go over that in this video. Wow, we got 163 people in here. Oh, wow. All right, you guys are making me put my money where my mouth is. We're almost at 150 likes. I guess I will have to turn. Top 5 crypto. Top 5 crypto. Bitcoin. 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 Satoshis. Satoshis. Bitcoin and Satoshis. There's 5. Bitcoin, Satoshi, Bitcoin, Satoshis, Bitcoin. There's 5. Let me quickly show you what I mean. This is what I mean. This will actually blow your guys' mind. So let me really quick pull this up, and then I'll switch over. I'm digging this fancy little Stream Deck thing where I can go side by side here. Hang on one second here. All right. Nice recovery from Bitcoin. It fell down to like 62 and back up to 64. It's funny. People are like mad that it fell from 68 to 64. You know, but it's like in the last week, it's hit all-time highs and it's still well over 60,000, which is pretty phenomenal. But let me show you, for the person that was talking about Shiba, let me kind of blow your mind here. So we're going to go over this screen. I have to be careful because I think I block it. Maybe I can move. Oh, I can move that. Look at that. Wow, I'm a real fan. I can move me around. Look at that. I'm moving me all over this screen. This is how fancy I've become. All right, let me put me over there. All right. Let me show you really quick. So Bitcoin, you basically see the circulating supply here at 18,871,000 Bitcoin. What this doesn't tell you is about 3 million of the Bitcoin is actually lost. So this is actually only like 15 million in the circulating supply. So you only have a supply of around 15 million Bitcoin out there, right? So that's the unit of measure for Bitcoin is a full coin. Now these are divisible in Satoshis, which is 100 million units of account. Because they're divisible in Satoshis, that 15 million figure is actually much, much larger. But the thing is, it has a hard cap at the circulating supply here, and it can't get any more than that. And these are divisible units of measure that have a hard cap. So it's very interesting when you know that the unit of measure is Satoshis underneath Bitcoin, but that kind of distracts from this conversation where let's look at the circulating supply. It says 18 million, right? Now let's look at the circulating supply, for example, of Cardano. There's Cardano, right? Circulating supply of 33 billion. Cardano's out there, 33 billion of them. So yeah, the price is going to show at 205 and look like it's a value, right? There's 33 billion tokens out there. With Bitcoin, there's only 18 million. So there's a limited amount of it, and that's why you see a high price. There's a great secured protocol, which is why you see Bitcoin so high in that price. But let's go to Shiba though, because Shiba is what we want to talk about. Oh, here's Dogecoin. Oh my God, Shiba Inu is in the trillions. I'm sorry about that. So that's why people are big on the Shiba thing, because they think they can get, but this is something that'll blow your guys' minds. I know that this is, for a lot of people, this is very simple stuff, but a lot of people don't know this. So I think that this will be very helpful here. So Doge, for example, you got 132 billion Doge tokens out there, 132 billion of them. And then you have 18 million Bitcoin. And it really puts it into perspective. But let's get to Shiba. Shiba at 549 trillion tokens out there. 549 trillion of them. Yeah, no wonder the price is under a cent or whatever amount of money that is. Of course it is. And why do you think it's down 13% when everything was up over the last 7 days? Because it's a fool's token. This is centralized garbage that is 549 trillion tokens. It's never going to be used as money. It's never going to be used as a store of value. It's a fool's speculation play. And I have to let people know that on my channel. A lot of people won't like it. But at the end of the day, if it's cheap and it looks like it's too good to be true, it is. Bitcoin is, you can own a fraction of a Bitcoin. And I highly recommend to only be in Bitcoin. At least I can't recommend. It's not financial advice, but I don't own anything but Bitcoin. I've never sold my Bitcoin. I only own Bitcoin. Period. That's where I am with it. This is supposed to be a silver video, but someone wanted me to talk about crypto. It's only Bitcoin. To all of my viewers out there and all my friends out there, it really clears up the fog when you realize it's only Bitcoin that matters. And everything else. So that whole argument that Peter Schiff will say of, oh, there's all these different tokens out there. No, those are all wannabe tokens that are all centralized garbage. It's all Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the only one that matters. Everything else is centralized garbage. That's the truth. So I only believe in Bitcoin. Some people are saying Solana is good. No, they're not. NFTs are JPEGs. They're not valuable. People think they're valuable. It's not going to. Look what happened to Logan Paul. Logan Paul recently bought I think a 500,000 NFT that can't even get a bid at 4K. Can't even get a bid at 4K. Not even one Ethereum, like, or just one Ethereum, whatever, for a $500,000 NFT, which is just a JPEG. You're saying, oh, I own the art of this. Like, you could hire freelancers to make NFTs and then pretend like you made them yourself. What I know about the collectibles industry, with what I know about collectibles, I should have taken advantage of the NFT thing. But the thing is, I just have like this integrity thing. I can't handle the fact that these are all going to plummet in value. They're not real value there. I know people will get mad at me for saying that. The only thing that's valuable is a layer in the digital realm that has a very secure network by over 100 million users out there and being the first one, and that's Bitcoin. Everything else is just centralized garbage to me. It truly is the only decentralized coin. There isn't any other coin on my mind. It's only Bitcoin. But I'm going to make a video specifically about that. I said if we got to 150, I would flip it, but I forgot to flip it, so I'll flip it. But let's say the timer was like halfway down, so maybe I'll go all the way through, maybe I won't, but I forgot to flip it when I'm doing this rant. But I appreciate you guys liking it. It means a lot to me that you liked it. Maybe you guys will help me get to 200. I appreciate it, because this information I think will really help people. I always post my live streams on the channel, but let's get back to some comments here. Let me see. Did I miss any? I never like to, I appreciate you guys doing those super chats. A couple people gave me super chats, and it means a lot. So let me, what's my net worth? Let me just tell you my exact net worth and this and that. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to. Proof of state. POS is proof of work. Yeah, proof of work is the only decentralized. Proof of stake is what Ethereum does, and it doesn't make any sense to me. It's proof of work. I'm looking at all the comments here. 170 watching, 168 likes ratio, Rob. That's pretty good ratio. I appreciate you guys, seriously. Everybody that shares everything and helps these videos get out there. I'm not slowing down on the YouTube thing. I'm going to be making a lot of videos on the YouTube thing. I like YouTube so much that I stopped my business for a long time and just only focused on YouTube, learning how to do this. It's a pretty big learning curve, knowing how to do like these live streams. They used to get all choppy. The audio wouldn't be great. I didn't use my mic to its best abilities, and I needed to figure out like how to do the little amp thing down there or whatever, and like how to use the whole system. And so I finally only recently dialed it in. Like, there isn't a team behind me. It's just my squirrel self in a warehouse here, you know? And I only have, it's like a peanut dangling from a fishing wire up there, and it kind of goes back and forth. So I use the peanut in my head to the best of my abilities. So there was a learning curve to this. So I appreciate all the support, guys. And I'm not slowing down at all for you all on YouTube. I really appreciate you all. What is a good amount of silver to hold? It all is up to your circumstances. For me, like, if I only had, say, depends on what your net worth is, and it depends on what your circumstances are. It depends on like what's your monthly income. Do you have an income right now? How high is that income? How high is your expenses every month? How much do you pay for rent? How much do you pay for, your insurance, your car, all these things? How much extra money do you have every single month? There's a lot of different things that come into equation there. So it's basically your decentralized portfolio. And my decentralized portfolio, you don't have to sign up for a Patreon. You don't have to give me any money to get my portfolio from me. It's very easy to go over my portfolio for you. Bitcoin, silver, platinum, palladium. Boom. There you go. There's my portfolio. Those 4 things, and then cash for dry powder and collectibles. I have a lot of collectibles. Like I have watches and stuff like that. That's where I'm at. So there you go. There's my entire portfolio for you. So maybe I can get a like out of it. I don't know. But yeah, I don't need any money for that. Unless you got a question, you got a super chat. I appreciate those. But let me go through some of these comments here. Some more comments. What's up with all of those door stops? People in Bitcoin, they give me such a hard time for liking silver too. The truth is, I mean, my trade of silver and Bitcoin I slept well at night with that trade. I love that trade. I still love silver. The reason why I have all this, how many bars are you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 1,600 ounces of silver in front of me today. I pulled out just for this video. I mean, like, obviously I love silver. I I think that silver is I have to have tangibles in my portfolio. I just do. I believe in Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin will easily get to $1 million a coin in the next 10 years, 10 years, maybe sooner than that. So I believe in Bitcoin. I have a lot of Bitcoin. Trust me. I have not sold any of my Bitcoin. It makes me very happy when I look at the amount of Bitcoin I have. But silver is something that I have extreme conviction in the tangible realm. I like silver more than gold because I know it's being eaten up by demand. I know that the market cap is way too low. I know the silver to gold ratio is way out of hand. It doesn't make any sense where it's at. That's why when I choose like what I have in the tangible realm, it's silver. I just am somebody that I'm a risk manager. That's where I'm at. I mean, if I was at the very beginning of things, like if I only had a couple grand to my name, I would be trying to figure out anything to get my capital together. But at this stage of the game of where I'm at, and I'm just being blatantly honest here, I don't mean this in an arrogant way, where the stage of the game where I'm at, if I am able to make, say, 20 to 25% every year on my entire decentralized portfolio, which I've ridiculously outperformed that. But let's say like if I did do that, I don't have to work for the rest of my life. So my thing is I want to be in things that I can sleep well at night and I can have conviction about it. And I think silver is ridiculously undervalued here for something in the tangible realm. Now, I think Bitcoin is ridiculously undervalued too. I wouldn't only own silver. I believe in having, if you don't have, like look at, for example, Peter Schiff, he's a terrible risk manager. My buddy Greg Foss said it in the podcast. If you haven't checked out the podcast, by the way, I made them all on this channel. I was going to make a separate channel for the podcast, and I decided, I think it was, you know what? Shout out to Salvador. I think Salvador's in here. He told me this in the very beginning. He's somebody who's been around supporting this channel from the very beginning. I got to shoot him a DM or something on Instagram, but he said, you should put it on the main channel. It's not going to be a good idea to make a separate channel. I'm like, no, I'm going to do a separate channel for the podcast. You were right. You were right. So I appreciate that advice because I actually ended up doing that. And I've been talking with a lot of people in the Bitcoin Bitcoin community. And Greg Foss basically put it best. So if you're like Peter Schiff and you were like, no, Bitcoin, I don't believe in Bitcoin. If you did that, you're a terrible risk manager. I mean, literally, I made a video saying Peter Schiff is wrong about Bitcoin. Three of them. I think three of them. And at the time, Bitcoin was like somewhere between 10 and 15,000 a coin. I had said back then that it was a great insurance play to have like 5-10% Bitcoin in your portfolio. Not financial advice, but that's what I said. Because if you're right, you get this huge upside. If you're wrong, you can afford to lose 5%. You can afford to lose that amount. So it's basically like if you have no Bitcoin, I think you're a terrible risk manager. That's how I feel about it. Like it's an insurance play. At worst, it's an insurance play. At best, you have a lot of conviction in it and you have a large amount like I do. But my position in Bitcoin started out as an insurance play. I was trying to be a risk manager. I saw a video of Chamath talking about it on CNBC going, I think it's a great insurance play. And I'm like, you know what? I like insurance plays. You know, I'll take, 5% position in there, 10% position. And I bought some Bitcoin and it worked. So now that went up to like more than 50% because Bitcoin went up so much in price. So the insurance play worked. So for me, I look at Bitcoin and I go, the key is getting somebody off zero. So if you're only in silver, I think it's foolish to not have a 5% position in Bitcoin. I think it's absolutely foolish. And obviously, look at Peter Schiff. If Peter Schiff was a good risk manager, and Peter Schiff, I know you watch my videos, you've commented on my videos, and eventually the silver squirrels out there, we're going to get your attention, Peter. It's going to happen. And when you do debate me, it's going to be very rough for you because you've never debated somebody that's in both. He's only debated Bitcoiners, and he has the same arguments, but he won't have the same arguments about somebody that knows a lot about silver and platinum and palladium and a lot about gold. So it's like, be fun if I debate you, Peter. It's funny you won't answer any of my requests. I will. Anyway, with Peter Schiff, if he had put a 5-10% position in Bitcoin back when he knew about it, and he knew about it in like 2010. So if he put a 5-10% position, he would have been the best gold manager in the entire world. He would have been the best, hands down manager in the entire world if he had put a 5 to 10% position and bought a small amount of Bitcoin and wasn't closed-minded and said, hey, this is interesting. Yeah, let's put a little bit on the balance sheet. We're not going to go all in. No. We're going to give me 5%. If he had done that, That's why he's so angry, I think, is because he missed out. He was just a terrible risk manager, as Greg Foss would say, and he went over that in the podcast. That was a great podcast, by the way, the one I did with Greg Foss. Really enjoyed that. And so by supporting my channel, by subscribing to my channel, by liking all the videos and stuff, you help me bring on these bigger guests. And I promise you, I'm trying to work up to names like Peter Schiff, trying to get these bigger guests on the channel so that I can really criticize them. Because I'm not going to take it easy. Like, that's one thing. If you know me, if you've known my rants on this channel, I'm not going to take it easy on them. I really look forward to doing that and being able to have these conversations with people. So by supporting this channel, by sharing my videos, liking the videos, getting this stuff out there, that's what my next plan is to start doing podcasts here and basically getting these big guests on here to get this information out to the public. Yeah, Mark Moss is a really cool guy too. I would love to have him on, but the one thing I will do, like if you go, it's something I've been doing, like literally in my titles of my videos or stuff, or in the description, you obviously got to type in some stuff that people might search, and you got to do the clickbaity thumbnail, and I'm learning how to be the YouTuber type, right? But in the section, I don't have like affiliate links. I guess I could be like linking you to Amazon or something like that. I don't do that. I rarely even link it over to my company. I don't want to be seen as somebody that's in it for the money on the YouTube thing. You know, obviously I'm a capitalist. I want to make money off something, but with my content, I just enjoy doing this. You guys, I'm an introvert. People don't know this about me, but I'm like a horrible introvert. I like to be alone, and I like to be just building my own stuff and working on my things. So YouTube, it kind of is like fulfilling to me to be able to talk with people online. And so thank you for that. It's like a healing type thing. It's therapy to be on YouTube, especially on these live streams. When I didn't have the live streams going, it was bothering me because I couldn't figure it out. And my internet, I know it's funny, all my fellow silver squirrels out there helped me get it to where it is now. So if you like the live stream now, if the audio quality is good, if it's not all fuzzy, if it's not, the audio isn't off of the video and all of that, it's thanks to the silver squirrels. They're like, no, you need to have an Ethernet connection. The other thing they told me, and this might help some people, is you need a higher end cable. So I was using like a Cat 5 or a Cat 4 cable or something like that. And those cables are only capable of like moving a certain amount of bandwidth or something, a certain amount of internet. And that they told me to get a Cat 8 cable. And that once I got the Cat 8 cable, internet was like super fast. So you need to check your cable, not just the modem. A lot of people don't know you need a different cable, and they're cheap. They're only like $25 or something. But that was a big deal. Figuring out the Stream Deck thing was a big deal. And this, I think I use Ecamm now. And so it's like this, I'm learning how to do this better where I just have click the button and it just turns on and it hypes me up. That it's easy to work like this. But yeah, there's no affiliate link. Look, check the description in the video. There's no affiliate link in there. There's nothing for you to click on. There's nothing to sell you. I don't have a some VPN or something like that to talk to you about in my podcast. I'm not stopping it for that. I've actually had like people wanting me to advertise for them, and I'm like, I'm just gonna keep ranting. I don't know. Maybe I'm foolish, but that's how I feel about it. Let me go through. I'll go through some more comments here. I always plan to do these live streams for like an hour, maybe 30 minutes, an hour, and then we end up going for a long time in them because I just like doing these. Let me go through. You can buy 2,000 ounces of silver for 1 Bitcoin. Ron, I actually made a video showing what 1 Bitcoin in silver looks like. So you can actually go and look that. There's another clickbaity thumbnail, another YouTuber clickbaity thumbnail. But I actually did put the exact, like it's close to what, it's actually very, I think, no, wait, actually, this is a Bitcoin in silver right here. Like literally, I think it's 1,700 ounces, 1,700 ounces in silver is a Bitcoin in silver. It might be actually higher now because I did that video at 62.5. Now it's at 64. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But this right here is very within a couple hundred ounces, 100 ounce or two. This is what a Bitcoin in silver looks like. So yeah, it made a lot of sense to be a good risk manager, Peter Schiff, and have a small amount of Bitcoin in the portfolio. And that video did not get enough views. It only got like 1,100 views. But to those 1,100 people that saw that video, I hope you got not financial advice, not financial advice. Don't do what I'm saying. But if you did, it worked out. I'm going through some more comments. You can go sometimes. I have 2,000 ounces of silver and I own 60 acres of agriculture, residential land combined. Congrats, Fire. That's good stuff. Now, if I was in that position, I would learn how to secure, a 5% position in Bitcoin. Just what I would do, my opinion, have a small position in Bitcoin, like at least a small position. I have a large position because I had a small position. That's why my position is large in Bitcoin, because I had that small position as insurance play, and then it turned into a large position, and I haven't sold any of it. And now they're letting you leverage the Bitcoin and all these different things. You can legally not pay taxes on your Bitcoin gains because there's ways to get around that. And I'm actually going to make a video about that too. So expect to see a lot of smaller, like 12-minute, 14-minute videos on the channel in the near future, and more podcasts. I got some great podcasts rolling out here from top names in Bitcoin, top names in precious metals, giving their opinions on things. So definitely going to be doing, I already dropped 5 podcast episodes in like the last week and a half. So they're out there. They're posted. I made a playlist on the channel that you can easily find if you want to go through the podcast. How did Peter Schiff get famous? He predicted the 2007 collapse very accurately. So I think that was a big part of it. And he deserves it. Like, Peter Schiff is a great guy. A great guy. Like, he's not a bad guy. He's a libertarian. I'm a libertarian. I believe in it. The reason I'm a libertarian is by watching Peter Schiff videos when I was younger. I'm 28 now. So, but back when I was, in my early 20s, I would be watching Peter Schiff videos all the time. Now he's got all these ads in his podcast that get me annoyed. But other than that, I still listen to him all the time. I think he's right on. If he was trying to be in charge of the Fed or something like that, or I don't think he wants the Fed to exist, but if he was running for any type of political anything, I would be an advocate for him on, like, why I would wildly be pushing for him to be in charge of something in the political realm, because I think he's a brilliant guy and he wants a free market world. Everything that he says on government, everything that he says on like political, monetary supply, all of these things, I agree with him like 100%, and I learn from him every single time he speaks. So don't think I don't like Peter Schiff. I think he's a great guy. I just think that it's foolish to be closed-minded on Bitcoin and say, oh, it's a terrible move. This is like, and have none of it. From what I know about Bitcoin, like, has he actually held a cold storage device? Has he actually sent Bitcoin and found out how cheap it is to send Bitcoin from one place to another? It's actually not very expensive. It's actually very, very cost-effective and very fast and efficient. Much faster and efficient than the Fed wire system. But he hasn't gone through this detail for some reason. I don't understand why. He doesn't understand. Like, I've built my own nodes. I've built 2 of my own nodes, and I know how the protocol works now because I built those. Like, I learned things as I was going through that I would have never known by someone just telling me or something. When you actually tinker with it, and I literally took like 2 weeks off just to learn Bitcoin. Just to spend time learning how to build a node, how to use cold storage, how to do these things. Spent a lot of time studying it, and I still only know like 30%, 40% of what I need to know. There's a ton of stuff on Bitcoin that I don't know yet. The Lightning Network, all of this stuff, that's new stuff that I'm learning right now. So if I've been really dedicated and actually immersing myself in that community, I'm hard-pressed to think that Peter Schiff knows what he's talking about. If I only know 30, 40% of what I need to know, and I need to know another 60% of it or 50-some% of what I need to know about Bitcoin, and I'm actually like dedicated to it and I actually believe in it, then I don't think he actually knows what he's talking about. I think he's just spewing out the same information over and over and over again, but not understanding what he's talking about. And I don't think it's fair to criticize something you don't understand. And I think that rather than constantly doing the debates and constantly doing that, he should sit down with his son Spencer and say, hey, teach me about Bitcoin. Show me a cold storage device. Send it from this wallet to this wallet. Show me what it's like to send it from an exchange into a wallet. Show me what a Satoshi is like. Show me how this all is divisible and all that. I don't know why he won't actually learn this information, but I don't like to talk. If you notice, like, I don't comment on cold storage yet, or on like nodes or like Lightning or anything like that, because I don't know enough about it yet. So I'm not going to comment on it yet. I think there's a lot of stuff that I need to learn, and then I'll comment about it. But he just doesn't do that for some reason. But he did call out the 2007 collapse, and he is an extremely brilliant libertarian, brilliant guy, but just very closed-minded and doesn't understand Bitcoin. I would love, Southwest Stacker, I would love to do a show with Robert Kiyosaki. Now, I really do like Robert Kiyosaki quite a bit. Really, really cool guy. I would definitely like to do that. What's up, Zilla? Robert bought his first gold. He always does say the same stories over and over again, doesn't he? But no, Robert Kiyosaki's a good guy. I think he's awesome. Salvador, there he is. Salvador is the one who told me to put the podcast on the channel and not on a different one, and I listened to you. So shout out to Salvador. I do remember these things. I remember, and that was something that made me do the Max Kaiser gave Peter Schiff a bunch of Bitcoin, and I think he lost it. I think he either lost it or he didn't accept it. But Max Kaiser, I reached out to him on Telegram, but because I'm in precious metals, but I think he owns silver too. He kind of like just didn't respond to me, but I'd love to get Max Kaiser on the show. That'd be cool. But as the channel, if this channel gets bigger and bigger, so if people subscribe, if people share my content, like the videos and stuff, I will eventually be able to get these names on the channel, and you'll get, whoa. If you didn't think these silver bars were real, they are in fact real. One of them almost just dropped this whole thing. We'll put that one sideways on there. But I do get people thinking, oh, it's probably aluminum. Yeah, maybe it is. No, it's definitely silver. But Max is Satoshi. I don't know. It seems there's a lot of things that were, it's funny. It's Kiyosaki that called Max out. That's a great interview to watch. When Robert Kiyosaki had Max Kaiser on, Max Kaiser was not prepped on that one. He was not prepped because Robert Kiyosaki is kind of like a no BS, and he just went in on him. And he's like, "Are you like?" And that was a great interview to watch. That if you haven't seen it. Stainless steel, yeah. Where can I see the dislike numbers? I got 5 dislikes right now, it looks like. I got 206 likes, 5 dislikes. So there's 5 people out there that don't agree with me, and they're more than welcome to not agree with me. More people can not agree with me, and that's fine too. But if some people agree with me, some people don't agree with me, the comments are always going to be open for you. So just feel free to put a comment. And I have no moderator. Here's my hands. There's no moderator in here. That's something about my comment sections. There's no moderator. I do make it so you have to be a subscriber, but you basically can just be like subscribe and then comment, and then you can unsubscribe if you want. I don't know. It's up to you. But I don't want to have like the bots or anything putting comments. So I make the little subscribe thing, but that's it. Anybody's allowed to comment, especially in the comments on the actual, when the video is posted. Right now we're live, so all the comments are live right now. But I think we learn a lot from the comment sections. I don't know about you, but when I watch a YouTube video, I like immediately go to the comment sections to see if the video is worthwhile. That's the first thing I do when I go on a YouTube video. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream? Don't eat too much ice cream, fortunately. 6 Fed workers. 7 of them now. We got 7. I think Janet came into the mix and threw a dislike there with Powell. Oh, well, we're off. Somebody decided to undo their dislike. There we go. We're back down. We're at 6 now. Appreciate that. Let me see here. I like Andy from Miles Franklin. Fantastic knowledge. I'd like to talk with him as well. Robbie, are they ever going to stop manipulating the silver price? They just add ounce they don't even have. I think if we see more and more companies going and gobbling up silver, which I think they're going to do, if you're any type of electronics manufacturer, if you're Samsung right now, if you're Apple right now, if you're Tesla right now, it will put you ahead of the competition to buy the industrial metals that you need, silver being a big one of them. Literally, the auto industry alone is eating up tens of millions of ounces of silver every single year. And if you think that's going to stop, I have news for you. It's not. Because now with electric cars, they're going to be gobbling up more silver. With electric cars, they're going to need more solar panels and this whole Green New Deal, everything, right? I think if houses in California and different states and stuff, they need to have a certain amount of solar panels to even have that development, which is wild. So obviously these solar panels are going to get developed, and they use a lot of silver in these solar panels. It's the most reflective precious metal. So they use a lot of it in solar panels. In that situation, you can't artificially hold that price down for that long. Eventually, something has to give. And so I think that it's just a matter of time. And what we're seeing recently, what I went over in this video, I think we're finally seeing that detachment happen. We're finally starting to see the result of this is not a real strengthened dollar. It's an artificially strengthened dollar, and silver is going up at the same time, which, you know what that tells me? That tells me the market doesn't believe that the dollar is strong. The market believes that silver's undervalued and that the dollar isn't strong. Because if it was the opposite, you would see silver go down when the dollar goes up. But now we're seeing people taking advantage of the overpriced dollar that shouldn't be priced there and going and buying silver with it. That's what we're seeing right now. The dollar is the reserve currency. It's showing that it's strengthening, and silver is going up, not down against the dollar. If the dollar goes up, it should mean that the dollar can buy more silver. But it's not. It's going up, and silver's going up at the same time. So they're usually polar opposites. But for some reason, they're moving in tandem. That tells me what I've said about 100 times in this video, because I really want to get that information home to people. Is that picture behind the original Tesla? It is. That is the original Nikola Tesla, who doesn't get enough praise. And I'm a big fan of Nikola Tesla. To the point where he's got his own place right there. Why Tesla has engines with copper? Why Tesla has engines with copper wiring? Silver wired engine is 20% more powerful, just 40K USD more. I mean, that's why. They might have a higher end vehicle, something along those lines in the future. So, I mean, it's to me, I think it's just you have to use silver in these components, and then you also have to use silver in solar panels. And those are two very, very ripe industries for disruption. Auto industry already used tens of millions of ounces of silver. Electric cars are going to use more silver because there's more electronics, obviously. So if we're going electronic, that's something that. So the argument that is against platinum and palladium, where they say we're not going to use catalytic converters anymore, that's an argument for silver, because you're going to use more silver in an electric car. You're not going to have catalytic converters, but you're going to have more electronic connections that need silver to do those connections. So these cars are using quite a bit of silver, every single car that's being made from Tesla. I think it's just a matter of time. I really do. And so I want to be in the precious metals that's being eaten up by industry. I don't want to be in the precious metal that's sitting in a vault. And I'm one of the only people in precious metals that really does go out there and say, I don't think gold is a good investment. I think it's a good storage of value. I think that it'll just sit there. I don't think that it's going to be something that goes up, but I don't think it's going to be something that crashes. But at the same time, I don't see it being something that's going to double in the same way I see silver is going to double in the near future. Like if I have to choose between metals, and I have to choose between gold or platinum or palladium or silver, I'm going to choose the industrial precious metals every time. I'd rather have no gold, because if gold does go up, silver's going to go up with it. And silver's probably, have you noticed every single up day in precious metals, silver outperforms gold? Have you noticed that? Every single up day in metals, like when we have a real good up day, silver outperforms, platinum outperforms, palladium outperforms gold. And then you got Peter Schiff bragging about gold. And it's like, well, wait, all the other precious metals are doing better than gold right now in up days. Why wouldn't I not want to be in those? Why am I in gold? I should be in those precious metals. That's what I think about it. I think that's how I feel about it. And that's I'm not trying to bash on gold. I think gold will still continuously go up. I just don't think it's going to be a fast horse in the race. I would much rather just be in a faster horse in the race. YouTube extreme case for 4-digit silver. I will YouTube it. I'm curious on that. If you say if somebody says it's a good thing, where's my pen at? I have to write things down because I forget. I don't know where I put my pen, but I will try to remember that. I will try to remember that. Or I'll go back in the comments. The extreme case for 4-digit silver. John Shore. Appreciate that, man. Have you considered buying more Tesla stock? It nearly doubled since you mentioned you didn't believe in it because of what Musk did. Jimmy, I cannot deny that Tesla continues to go up. I was a Tesla investor and I sold too soon. I think that I have a chip on my shoulder for that. So there's a bias there, if I'm being honest. I missed out and I should be honest about that. But at the same time, here's something that I overlooked with Tesla, is their ability to do secondaries and scoop up this capital and then do stuff with the capital. That's something interesting. I think what happened with Tesla is because they succeeded at doing that secondary. So at the time I sold Tesla myself and I got out too soon, that was when Well, my options were expiring too, so I had to get out of my options. But I had options in Tesla, and did really well. I made a lot of money on Tesla, and I moved that money into Bitcoin and silver. So I don't know. I did pretty well at that time, but I missed out on a huge gain on Tesla. And the reason for that is I didn't see them doing what they did, which was brilliant. So they did a secondary. If you remember, Tesla did the secondary. They scooped up billions of capital from the shareholders and got like a $15 billion balance sheet because they scooped up secondaries. It wasn't from selling cars. It was from scooping up secondaries and getting money from their shareholders. Now, what that did is it made it so they couldn't go bankrupt. So the whole argument of short sellers saying that Tesla could go bankrupt was completely invalidated because they had so much cash on their balance sheet from taking it up from shareholders. That's what happened with Tesla. And because of that, the short sellers got squeezed to oblivion because their entire narrative is thrown out the window because Tesla's sitting on $15 billion on the balance sheet because they scooped up all of that money from the shareholders. And at the same time they did the secondary, they did a 5-to-1 split. Now, this is kind of devious, but it's brilliant at the same time because the 5-to-1 split hid the secondaries that they did. So if they didn't do the 5-to-1 split, I'd argue that the dilution would be more obvious, but they did the secondaries, diluted the stock, and then did a 5-to-1 split at the same time that the short sellers got squeezed to oblivion and made their price 5 times less. It was brilliant the way they did that. And now where they're at now at $1 trillion, they could easily scoop up 10, 20 billion more capital, dump that into Bitcoin or dump that into, assets, build another factory. They could get into Bitcoin mining, which I argue that they would get into Bitcoin mining because they're in Texas where that's like the new place for Bitcoin mining. There's a lot of things Tesla could do right now. And if what I want to see from them is how much they're going to take this fake money and put it into assets. And how, if the shareholders are going to allow Elon Musk to dump 10% of his position, if they're going to allow, them to do more secondaries and scoop up all these dollars from their shareholders, because that's what they're doing. They're diluting the shareholders and taking their capital and putting it on their own balance sheet. It's brilliant, but at the same time, the shareholders have to put up with that. So are they going to put up with that? I don't know. We saw a bit of a pullback recently, but that's kind of where I'm at with that. But it's true. I mean, like they've done very, very well. Bit of a pullback recently, I believe, but still up tremendous on that. And they could do another 10-to-1. They could do a 10-to-1 split, drop their price down to $100 a share, and then at the same time scoop up capital with secondaries and hide it again like they did the last time. So that's how. That's my view is on that. Chicken Nugget says, hair is looking right tonight, Rob. Appreciate it. There's one person you got to pay well. I have a barber, and he's like the most humble, cool dude. And he's always like $25. He'll do the beard, he'll do the whole thing, and he just spends a bunch of time on my hair. I'm like, 25? You said 60, right? $60? Okay, $60 it is. And so every time he says 25, I would give him $60. So if you get a tattoo, you got to pay your tattoo guy right. If you're got a barber, whoever's cutting your hair, you got to pay them right. Make sure. That's capitalism. And then they take more time. They do a good job. So my barber's my guy. Shout out, John. Let me go through some more comments here. When would you ever sell your silver? J.A. Rods. I think I'll always own some bit of silver throughout the rest of my life, just knowing how useful it is. But I do think that I own Mineral Exchange, so I buy and sell quite a bit of silver. So that's not really a fair question to ask me. But if I was for my own personal investments and like the stuff that I hold, like some of my silver investments are like really cool. Like I have these old assay bars from 1951. Like I think I posted a picture of them on my Instagram, so you can go to my Instagram to check them out. And I'm going to post, I bought a third one. So I have 3 assay bars, comex bars, real comex bars from the 50s, from the 1950s when we were on the gold standard. I have real comex bars stamped with a New York assay logo on them. Like those are cool. I think I'll have those forever. I don't know if I'll ever sell those. Like they're pretty rad. If I do sell those, I'm going to have to get a lot of money for those because they're just way too cool. But stuff like that. I have a Garsopa bar from the shipwreck in World War II where the German U-boat sank the Garsopa, and they sank like 462 bars or 468 bars, and I have one of those bars. Things like that. Like I have collectible silver that I like a lot. So there's stuff I wouldn't sell. But in regards to like bullion silver, I think that I would have to see a price like around 75, 100 an ounce to want to start selling some of my silver. And if I did, I would have something I was doing with that capital. Like I would put it into another asset, or I saw some opportunity in business. There's a real estate opportunity. There was something that I wanted with that capital. I look at silver like my bank account, like a high interest bank account. Bitcoin is like my speculative high interest bank account that I've gotten much, much more conviction on, but my like not as speculative, less volatile bank account that pays me a high interest. It's like a money market account for me is my silver. I believe in silver being like my bank. I don't like having my money in the bank. I like having it out of the bank. I don't want them to hold my money. They don't pay me enough interest. So it's just like a bank account to me. I see silver as money. Now I like it because of its industrial use. So when I say I see it as money, it's more for the fact that it's being eaten up year over year. But I just see it as a great place to park money in the physical form. I see Bitcoin as money, and I see silver as like the best industrial precious metal, the best tangible to own. Same thing with platinum and palladium, stuff like that. And some people, they make fun of me that I like precious metals still. They say only be in Bitcoin. I like my precious metals. I like my collectibles. I like my tangibles. That's just who I am as a person. So if they don't like me for that, that's fine. I like Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's brilliant. And I have a lot of Bitcoin, but I still need something in the physical realm. So that's how I feel about it. Are you taking deliveries from the COMEX? I guess in the 50s I did. I wasn't alive back then, but technically I did in the 50s. Somebody turned in a bunch of silver certs back then and got those COMEX bars that I own now. So somebody got them from the COMEX. I just ended up getting them later on. So they're more collectible bars. I'll post a picture of them on my Instagram. I really will. I got 3 of them. I'll post a picture of them so you guys can see it on my Instagram. But yeah, I don't want to be all in one thing. The thing that's very interesting right now about Bitcoin is they're allowing you to leverage it, which I'm going to make a video about that next. So I don't want to talk too much on that because it's kind of a detailed thing, but the ability to leverage your Bitcoin, and now that Coinbase is allowing you, so if you got $1 million in Bitcoin and you want capital real quick, but you don't want to sell your Bitcoin and declare a capital gain, you can literally give them your $1 million in Bitcoin, let's say hypothetically $1 million, they will give you a $500K loan against the Bitcoin at like 8% annual interest, and you never declare a capital gain, so you don't have to pay the 40% or whatever, 30-40% in capital gain. You have your Bitcoin, you have the upside of Bitcoin, and you can leverage it to get capital against it to do whatever you need to do in the fiat world if you need more hot potato money. So that ability to leverage the Bitcoin, highly overlooked, highly overlooked. It's very hard to leverage precious metals right now to like use a depository and all of that. But with Bitcoin, that's interesting. A lot of things going on with Bitcoin. So again, like if we're all in precious metals and we have no Bitcoin, we're very opposed to it. I mean, look at the chart. Did it make sense to have a 5-10% position? Did it? Because this is what a Bitcoin and silver looks like. Could you afford a Bitcoin back when it was $5,000 about a year and a half ago? 5-10 grand. This is how much silver it gets if you got one Bitcoin back then. So like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to have it like, a small position in on your balance sheet of Bitcoin. If you don't believe in it, I believe in it a lot. So I'm adding, I want more, but, doesn't take away that I like my silver and I like my tangibles. Like I just don't I want to be known as somebody that bridges that divide. Cause what does Peter Schiff do? And I'm talking about him way too much. I apologize. So sorry, Peter, I got to get your name out of my mouth, but, it does hurt people if you are like blinded to it. If you lose 5% and you like had a 5% position in Bitcoin, you're going to live, you're going to be fine. But if you never got the Bitcoin position, you never put the 5% in there, that could have turned into like 60-70% of your decentralized portfolio. You could have turned that 5% in. Like if you say your entire portfolio is worth 100 grand and you put 5 grand into Bitcoin when Bitcoin was 5 grand for one coin, now your $100,000 portfolio is worth like $164,000. And did it make sense? Yeah, it made sense to have a small 5% position in this volatile new thing. Of course it did. Look at what the gain you had. So like it didn't, but if you lost that 5 grand, your portfolio would still be worth like 110 grand or 105 grand or something because silver still went up a lot. Or it actually would be worth that whole portfolio if you got in at when Bitcoin was 5 grand. I think silver was like 12 back then. So you would have like doubled that entire portfolio, but Bitcoin would have been much, much larger of a gain. Anyway, yes, it makes sense to have a small position in the portfolio of Bitcoin. I don't understand the logic behind being closed-minded about it. That's how I feel about it. But I mean, it hurts. it hurts for the gold bugs out there that only are in gold to see that they could have had that if they only listened to Peter Schiff and they didn't watch this crazy squirrel out there saying Peter Schiff is wrong like 9 months ago, 10 months ago. No, it was like, it was 11 months, almost a year ago, right when I first started the channel, and he went and commented on it. I hope your channel does better than Bitcoin. Well, Peter, they both did better than Bitcoin. The channel did better than Bitcoin, and Bitcoin did well as well. So they both did well. Peter posted that comment too. Wait, hang on. I'm going to show just for this. This is for my ego here, okay, guys? So sorry about this. This is ego. But I just posted this right here. Hang on. Where is it? This is the 5. By the way, if you haven't seen the podcast, that's the first 5 I just did. They're all in the podcast section here if you want to go check those out. But I did post this. Oh, well, let me scroll through it. I don't know. Oh, it will. So this is the video I did on Peter Schiff. I said Peter Schiff is wrong about Bitcoin. And it only got 1.1K views. That was 11 months ago. 11 months ago I did that video. Bitcoin was like 15 grand, 10, 15 grand. And then this is what he wrote. He goes, thanks for the kind words. Good luck with your channel. Hopefully in the end it does better than Bitcoin. That comment is still posted there. But he won't agree to debate me. Hey, Peter, the channel did better. The channel actually at the time only had like 1,000 subscribers. So we're moving up in the world. We're going to eventually get Peter Schiff up on here if we keep going at this rate. Bitcoin did well as well, but my channel actually outperformed Bitcoin because it went up like 24x from where it was when he commented that. So they both did pretty well. Peter needs to pay a $5. Okay, Rob, do you still think silver will bounce up before 2022? I mean, like, I'm not going to be making these bold projections like that. I think the bottom is in. I think that what we saw recently with the dollar index going up, what I talked about all throughout this video, I think the bottom is in. But I don't think I have the right to say, like, it's going to happen by this specific time. I think it's undervalued now, and I think the bottom is in. Do I think it's going to double by then? I don't know. I think that it could easily get to all-time highs. I think it should be there right now, if not higher than that. I think the ratio should be tighter than it was when it was at all-time highs. Silver's just way more useful than gold. So I just don't see it being so undervalued like this. But that's my opinion on it. The only stock that I'm in right now is MicroStrategy, Hassan. Because I like the short interest in MicroStrategy, and it's much better to own silver, own Bitcoin, like own the real Bitcoin, not anything on the stock market. But the only stock I hold right now is MicroStrategy. I'm not interested in anything else in the stock market. I might miss out on some stuff, but I like that they have so much Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So of any of the capital I have in stocks, I just have it in MicroStrategy because that's pretty much a spot Bitcoin ETF in the stock market right now. But even that, I get skeptical of why I'm in that position. I should just own Bitcoin outright. I probably will sell it and just buy straight Bitcoin with it in the future. But all right, guys, we had 250 likes up in here and 150 viewers. That's what I'm talking about. I appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Seriously, that's really cool. When did you get bit with the silver bug? This was 7 years ago. 7 or 8 years? No, 7 years ago. Yeah, 6 or 7 years ago. I was a waiter for the right table, and a collectibles dealer came in that specialized in rare coins, and I saw silver in the vault when I worked for him. So I went waiter to working for a collectibles dealer, and I saw silver in the vault. I'm like, whoa, those are cool. I want to do that on social media. Those are crazy. And so that's how it all started. But I'll probably make a video in the future talking about where everything started and whatnot. But yeah, it's a pretty crazy story actually. Maybe people wouldn't believe me on how everything went down. But it was a pretty wild story. I don't come from money, if you were wondering. I didn't have a silver spoon. Aha, pun intended. I was a waiter for 3 years, and I happened to wait on the right table. So if you're feeling down and out, if you're working some dead-end job or something, I was a waiter like 7 years ago, 6 years ago. So things change when you say yes to the right opportunities. They can come in front of you and change your life around. That was a very strange opportunity thing that happened to me. So, yeah, I think I've shared that in the channel in the past, but I've never really gone into detail about that story. But it's a pretty wild story. I know it has nothing to do with this, but what are your thoughts on NFTs? Is it something you consider investing in? Jimmy, I would never buy an NFT. I would never buy anything but Bitcoin. That's what scares me is how many people ask me about NFTs and how many people ask me about like Dogecoin and Shiba, because I know that it's all centralized garbage and I know that it's not going to hold value. So it just scares me that what the problem is Coinbase makes a fortune off of trading. So they make a fortune off of the cost of trading these speculative coins. And then they're promoting it. So Robinhood and Coinbase and all of these things, they promote their ads because they make money off of this. Robinhood just gives up your information to the whales and all of that, so they make money off of that. But the reason why they're advertising, you don't spend money on an advertisement if you're not making money. The reason why you'll be on Twitter and you'll see a Coinbase ad saying, buy Shiba on Coinbase now. It's like, because they're making money off of you. It's not that Shiba's a good coin. It's just that they make money off of you. It's only Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the only thing that matters. Everything else is secondary. Bitcoin is the only thing that matters, period. Everything else doesn't make any sense at all. That's where I'm at. Rob, are you comfortable talking about what you do for a living? Well, I was an early investor in Tesla, ironically enough, then sold way too early. There was that, but I also own Mineral Exchange. So I don't like to brand myself. I have turned off the website for the time being, but I do a lot of sales through social media and all my clients on more of a wholesale basis. But I own mineralx.com, mineralexchange.com as well. I own both of those domains, which I'm working on doing something pretty big there in the near future with some coders. So there should be some rollouts happening soon that might surprise you. But I'm in the precious metals business. So there's that. Some people might think I have a bias there because I'm in the metals business, and that probably is true. But I also hold a lot of silver, and I've been very fortunate for holding a lot of silver for this time period, and also very fortunate holding palladium and platinum and collectibles and all kinds of stuff like that. So I've been kind of, I guess I was a flipper for a long time. So some people flip furniture, some people flip, all kinds of stuff, watches, all kinds of things. I just flipped collectibles, and I would constantly buy and sell things all the time. So I'm just an entrepreneur to the core and scaling a small company. But I don't work for anybody. I don't have any boss. And now Bitcoin went up so much. Now I'm just an investor now, I guess. I'm all kinds of things now. But let me see. I appreciate you asking the question. I guess that goes to show you that I don't advertise a lot. I didn't even put my website in the description down there. I don't even put the website there. So if he doesn't know what I do for a living, that's how you know. Like, I don't have Euro Pacific Capital Management. Like, I don't have anything like that. It's just right now I'm figuring out YouTube. I like talking with people on YouTube right now. Your thoughts on DeFi? It'll be good when it's on Bitcoin. Are comics good investments? The comic book world, actually, they kind of skyrocketed quite a bit. Not for me personally, but for some people, if you know how to do what you're doing, you know how to do it right. A lot of people asking about comics. I know Pokemon cards, comics, all that stuff. Watches went up quite a bit. This watch has only gone up in value. I knew that it would too. Everyone wants a president. I wanted a Yachtmaster. I don't know why everybody wanted a president. This is all original Yachtmaster with box and papers, everything full set. But everyone's buying the president. But people think like I wear this watch for just wearing it. This watch has gone up quite a bit in value since I bought it. Watches went up a lot too. You got caught up in the Twitterverse for a while. I still am caught up over there. I enjoy talking with people in the Twitter's world because it's like those little Twitter Spaces things are kind of addicting, where it's fun to hop into different podcasts and talk to different people like on stage and whatnot, and start my own over there. So I was over there, and I still am over there a lot, but I plan to be a lot more on YouTube. That's why I did the podcast. What's cool about Twitter is I can reach out to people that I want to have on the podcast through Twitter, and so that's why I kind of go on the Twitter, in the Twitter world. It's good to get to branch out and network there and get other people's opinions and stuff. But all right, guys, it is like I think I started this video. I don't know how long I've been live for. An hour and 40 minutes. We did an hour and 40-minute feed. If you're watching this right now, and after I posted this, sorry we went on so long. Some people, they only want to watch the first 30 minutes of these live streams, but I love the Silver Squirrels too much. So if we have these live streams, they end up being hours long. I appreciate everybody, thank you for all the likes. Thank you for all the love. I really, really appreciate it. I will be making a lot more videos on this channel. I hope that there was some valuable information on here. The best thing that I could tell you, knowing precious metals the way that I have over the last 5 years, talking to a lot of the top dealers in the country, they look at that dollar index. The dollar index, the DXY, if you want to look up the symbol, DXY is what you want to look up. It's funny because like a lot of charts will only show you like the daily, but you got to look at the chart on the dollar index. So look up the DXY, watch that very close, because usually when the dollar index is up, metals are down. But for some reason, they're running parallel up right now, which to me tells me the bottom is in. Post a comment down below if you think I'm crazy. Post a comment and put your point of view out there. If you agree, disagree, would love to see it in a comment down below. If you want to hit the like button, really, really appreciate you hitting the like button and getting this video out there for the YouTube algorithm. Sharing it really does help. So thank you all very much. Appreciate all my silver squirrels out there. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'm a silver squirrel for life. All right? But thanks again, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. And I will see you at the next one of these videos. And I'm planning to do a lot of shorter videos, a lot of stuff on Bitcoin too. Like all of us, in precious metals, a lot of us, I mean, myself, when I first started learning, like I'm still learning about Bitcoin. We're all still learning about it. So I'm trying to actually get this information out there to teach people, whether they want to learn about it and digest this information about Bitcoin or not. It's up to you. But I want to get this information out from somebody that used to be extremely skeptical about Bitcoin. So that's why I've been doing a lot of videos here, because a lot of people in precious metals and Bitcoin, there's like a bridge there. There really is. It doesn't have to be so divisive like a lot of people are making it to be. I think that there's a ton of libertarian-minded people in precious metals that are a libertarian to the core, believe in free market capitalism. The Bitcoin audience is the same way. They really are. So the only difference is what the storage of the value is. But in regards to why you would store the value and all of the libertarian message of it, they're the same community, really. It's just Bitcoin is a very misunderstood thing by the precious metals community. And I think that if somebody from the precious metals community embraces it and teaches about it and really shares the truth about it, and doesn't just blindly, hide from it, I think a lot of people can benefit. And I've done that in the past. I've made videos talking about why I like Bitcoin back when it was much less. And that's, I don't want to like pat myself on the back about it, but it's an insurance play for people that don't believe in it, at least at a bare minimum. If you don't believe in it, it's at least an insurance play. But anyway, I'm ranting a little bit. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Signing out. See you at the next video.